Empire. So you guys, my name is Donovan Saadiq again. I welcome you to the show, Donovan Saadiq Show. Man, what a last few couple of weeks. It has been rough. It's been rough on the city once again. For those of you guys that have not heard, Ladonna Jempson was illegally appointed to the Moreno Valley City Council, and a lot of people are not happy with it, myself included. But in that time, I also did file a complaint with the district attorney. And I just want to tell you guys this. You can't just sit here and constantly complain, and then hope somebody else is going to do the work. It doesn't work that way. What are you guys going to do when I'm not here? What are you guys going to do when there's no MV Gordy? What are you going to do? Other people need to start stepping up. I gave 4 years of my life during the WLC wars, and a whole bunch of other people did longer than that. And here we are. But for those that don't know, Delgado, Mr. Ed Delgado, I'm saying L. Ed Delgado, he won council member in District 2. Measure G passed. I don't know why, but this is what I talk about when I talk about an educated workforce. This is what I mean when I talk about an educated workforce. Gosh, I'm having a little problems here with these mics here. I'm sorry about that, you guys, if you guys can still hear me there. But this is what I mean by having an educated voter base, not a workforce, an educated worker base. Why the hell would anybody, Democrat, Republican, Independent, want to vote for themselves to be taxed more than they already are? But this is the type of voter base we have here in the city of Moreno Valley. And again, uneducated for the simple fact that we already had a referendum to give the police, public safety, and all these little departments more money a couple of years ago, and that was supposed to cover everything we were supposed to cover. So once again, you've got a bunch of people here who are not paying attention to what is going on. So very, very interesting. The Democratic Party lost in the major election in Virginia, which was a national referendum, and they lost big time. They lost big time. They say over 2 million black people sat at home, did not vote in that election, which could have made the difference because it was a very, very close election. The Republicans also lost 300,000 voters from the last election, from what I hear, if the numbers are correct. And this thing is just getting crazier and crazier as the country is being more and more polarized. And the only way you're going to stop that is to have educated voter base. But, most politicians, they don't want that on both sides. So they could care less if the people are educated. The less you know, the more they can go, right? So, it's pretty depressing here. So, so the Democratic Party is now going to be blaming black people for staying home. In Virginia, they brought out former President Obama. They brought out all the big guns, Stacey the Loser Abrams, and they love using black women to do the dirty work and the lifting, especially against the black man. And they still lost. And one of the reasons that, they don't want to say this on national TV, is the reason that they lost is the fact that they lost black people, and the millennial and the Generation XY millennial people are sick and tired of it. We get you in the office, into the White House. You get into the White House because of the black vote. You stood by me. That's what Joe Biden said. You stood by me. And you do for everybody else but the very people who put you in office, which are black people. And, I know people don't want to hear this. People say, well, it's not black and white, it's politics. You're right, it is politics. But show me the last time an Asian was hung up in a tree. Show me the last time an Asian was shot down by the police department, that you hear about it almost on a daily basis like it's normal in the black community. So that's where we're at with that. So the Democratic Party, if that is any indication, it is going to be a massacre in the midterms. Because at this point, and I'm a black man myself, at this point, you have to ask yourself, well, if I keep voting Democrat and not getting nothing over there, maybe if I start voting Republican, maybe then I'd have some leverage with the Democrats the next time, and they would take me seriously and my issues seriously. You know, you're going to give $450 million to people who came into this country illegally. They're not even citizens. And you saying that they are brutalized and they were treated inhumane and all this stuff, and that's the justification for giving them $450 million, plus you add in the housing, almost $1 million per person who illegally broke into this country. Please make that make sense. Please make that make sense. So if that's your justification for giving them money, what group of people in the United States that are actually citizens that have been brutalized, treated inhumanely, are put in cages on a daily basis and discriminated and discouraged like it's just a part of normal life? That would be black people, but when black people are involved, can't be done. You know, reparations. Oh no, we can't do that. No, we can't do it. Oh, but if you're Hispanic and you come in here illegally, we'll get you. Oh, you're Afghan and you betrayed your own home country. Yeah, we could bring you in and set you up so you could be set up for life. Make it make sense. So, the Democratic Party is in big trouble. And excuse me, you guys, real quick, I'm just doing some maintenance here and getting some shares out so people could share this because it is going to be interesting. So, I want to talk about local politics because by me talking about the local elections and what's been going on locally, it pisses the hell off Ladonna Jempson's husband, Jackie Jempson, the daughter, the son, and Ladonna Jempson herself, because we have a lot of people that have that weren't here during the WLC wars, and they are here now, and they're not very familiar with what happened here in the city of Moreno Valley. So for those of you guys that don't know, and you're new to the city, welcome to the city. You've been gentrified out of LA and you've come out here. And yeah, this is Moreno Valley. We are a laughing stock. We are a bastion of where developers can come and buy politicians and council members. So last week, what happened was this. Former council member who only served 2 years because she was talking bullshit on the very person that was recalled, tried to do a power grab and a major coup. And it wasn't very successful. Her name is Ladonna Jempson, and for those of you guys that are new here, you guys know that she is a former bank robber and convicted felon. And she comes off as this really nice, sweet lady, but don't you be fooled by it one bit. Don't be fooled by it one bit. So here's a woman who was a former council member. She will brag to you that she is the most qualified person to hold the seat. If you've been following the articles, when Victoria Baca, the previous incumbent, died in office, this woman called her friend and fellow Democratic Party of Moreno Valley member, Dave Marquez, to tell him that she is interested in the appointment when nobody was even talking about that. Nobody was even talking about appointment yet. Victoria Baca had just passed away, and no sooner than that this woman passed away, that this woman was scheming on her seat, the seat that the people of District 1 put her in. What a ghoul. What a ghoul. Only a ghoul would do something like that. But it's Ladonna Jempson, so we are, I'm not surprised by that because I've been ringing the alarm for you guys about her for years. And people say, oh, you're just a hater. Her husband calls me a hater. Her daughter calls me a hater. Her whole family calls me a hater because I'm trying to stand up for what's right and hold these people accountable because I pay their salaries. So when did standing up for what is right become hating? So basically, this woman who is a former council member who took the training in what council member does, what a dais does, what a majority is, what she can do and what she can't do, after being advised by the city clerk of Moreno Valley and by the city attorney of Moreno Valley, she was there. She still went and took the oath of office, knowing anybody without any training will tell you 2 people is not a majority. And even if you have 2 people, you would also know that with 2 people, you can't even conduct business. Technically, the city clerk can cancel the meeting. The other 2 council members stood up there and overrode the attorney like they were legal scholars themselves. So my thing with them is this. They tried to antiquate, and this shows you, I don't understand why these baby boomers, and I'm not talking about all the baby boomers, I'm talking about these idiot baby boomers. They think because they're older and, they're 73 years old, they think they know everything, and they really don't. If you see what's going on in this country, who is at fault for the policies and the direction this country has taken? Is it the Generation Xers, my generation? No, we're not in power. Is it Generation Y, my children? They're not in power. Is it the millennials, my grandchildren? They're not in power. So logically, if this country is going into the toilet, it's because of the most selfish generation that this nation has produced, and that is the baby boomer generation. Okay? Now, Miss Jempson is kind of hard to believe. She's 65 years old, I believe. It would be her age. Do not quote me on that. She is 65 years old. Why would this woman, after it was disclosed that she was a bank robber and a former felon that went on the run for a lot of years, want to still be a council member and be embarrassed like this? So people keep telling me, oh, you're attacking her because you don't have any forgiveness in your heart. You're just, an evil person that just doesn't believe in forgiveness. Well, no, that's not it at all. What it is this. Once a thief, always a thief. What Ladonna Jempson tried to do was steal the voice of people of District 1. And this shows you how stupid these groups of people are. If they're this stupid now, what kind of bad decisions are they going to make once they get on that dais? Think about that. What kind of bad decisions are they going to make once they get on the dais? They can't even steal correctly. You're a bad thief when you keep getting caught. Stop being a bad thief. Go try another profession, like a legal profession, because you're not very good at being a thief. Political theft is just as valid and just as wrong as actual theft. In my value system, stealing is stealing. Doesn't matter in what capacity. You got men out here that steal women's minds. Mind control, pimping, I guess would be another form of that. Is that right? Everybody hates a pimp. Everybody hates a pimp. So it isn't for the fact I could care less, and a lot of people could care less, that Ladonna Jempson was a bank robber 37, 40 years ago. Doesn't matter. The fact of the matter is she ran on a platform of transparency. What is the definition of transparency, everybody? Transparency means you can see everything about me. Everything. I have nothing to hide. Everything about me is out there. And as a political person that I am, I always tell people, if they're asking me in my advice, that get ahead of something. So if there's something bad out there, get out there, make a statement about it, and then they can't keep throwing it up in your face. Everybody knows about that. So I'm re-educating the newer people that have come into the city that don't know any of this, and they won't Google it. So if you're interested in Ladonna Jempson's background, just Google it. I say on this show and other shows that I'm on, don't listen to what I say, research what I say. Research what I say. The documents are out there, and they've been out there for years. So she ran on a platform of transparency. Come to find out, she wasn't transparent at all. So in that recall election, if people had known that she was a bank robber, a former bank robber, I would have been the council member. But her family and her friends will say, well, that's why Donovan has sour grapes. He just can't get over the fact that he lost that election. No, that's not it. That's not it at all. I have no aspirations of being a politician, and you didn't see me just try to steal a seat. You didn't see me do that. You didn't see me call anybody. You didn't see me do any of that. You want to know why? Because what I do right now, by having this platform and getting the information out there, is more powerful, in my opinion, than sitting on a dais. I am not subjugated to the rules of the city, which would mean I would be up there with my hands tied. And I don't like to be criticized like that, especially when it's untrue. The Supreme Court upheld in 1966 that you could technically totally lie on a politician and they can't sue you because they have a bully pulpit to refute any of the information that you put out there. Notice Ladonna Jempson has never said, not once, that anything that I'm saying is untrue. Never has any of her family members said anything that I've said about her is untrue. But Ladonna's trick bag is the fact that she plays white woman victim. Oh my God, they're attacking me, and I just do so much in the community, and I'm just a citizen, and this evil little black man in the area of Edgemont, he just has nothing better to do but to hate on me and treat me badly. What does she have that I would be hating on her? She's a 65-year-old woman, I think. I thought she was in her 70s. And I'm not saying that to discourage like her looks or try to be insulting. I'm just saying if you look at her, she looks like a grandmother, you know? Now, don't get me wrong. I'm sure in her younger years, she was a brick house. Very attractive woman. She's a very attractive woman as an older woman. But I wouldn't think that she's 65 years old. I wouldn't think that. I wouldn't even think she was a bank robber. Nobody thought about that. Who is going to go research their opponent and say, let me see if this person's a bank robber? Who would do that? Because opponent research is up to the candidates themselves. You know, fundamentally, they should be doing their research on their opponents. Why would I ever think this woman is a bank robber? That's crazy. But come to find out, she was. That was the crazy part. And her go-to is to play victim. She always does that. And sorry about that, you guys. And she always does that. She plays victim. I'm going to play victim. And all her friends, I mean, she's got all her friends fooled and everything like that. But here's the thing. You're still stealing stuff. That's the problem. Here's my analogy. It's a bad analogy, but I want you to get the gist of what I'm saying. If I was a child molester and I did it, let's say I was 17 and I got convicted of child molestation, I had to register as a sex offender. Now I'm in my 50s, haven't had an issue or a problem with it ever since. Would you have a problem with me working at a school? I'm just saying. To me, it's the same analogy. I'm not saying she's going to do that. I'm not saying she's going to rob. I'm not saying, or whatever. But do I want to put her in a position to where it could be a possibility? Do I want to do that? So you guys are saying, oh, well, she's not the treasurer. She's the city council member. The city council member has power over the purse strings of the city. They vote on monetary issues. To me, it's the same thing. And the mere fact that she was a council member for 2 years and got beat, and beat very badly by Victoria Baca. Now, people say, well, you got beat too. Okay, let me show you how politics works. If you were going to run in a special election, okay, and let's say nobody ever heard of you, which was my case. Nobody had ever heard of me before. I just popped up, put my name in the hat. I said, I'm going to run and see what happens. Now, even though nobody knew who I was, remember, if people had known that this woman was a bank robber, I would have been the council member and all I needed was one vote. One vote would have put me in that seat. Because people fundamentally do not like to be lied to. Fundamentally, they don't like to be lied to. So technically, I would have been the council member. And you guys say, well, how can you say that? Because she still got 1,000 votes or whatever. Okay. Just, a year, maybe 8 months before the re-election. 8 months before the actual re-election, not the special election, the re-election, it came out she was a bank robber. Where were the residents that put her in office during the recall election? She almost had no votes in the recall election. Almost none. Zero. Finito. They bounced her ass right off of that seat. Where were the people that supported her the first time she ran? Because fundamentally, people do not like liars. They do not like bank robbers. They do not like felons. Okay? Not saying people shouldn't have a second chance. That isn't what I'm saying. I'm a black man. Do you know how many friends that I have that have been to jail for bullshit? But they are black, so it seems to be okay to incarcerate and fake and set up black people to go to jail. And some black people go to jail for doing dumb bullshit. I'm not making excuses for that. But fundamentally, people don't like felons. And when she lied to the people, they took proper action and brought back Victoria Baca and put Victoria Baca back on that seat. And Victoria Baca at that very time, during that time, was under an FBI investigation. But she wasn't convicted of anything. She wasn't convicted of anything. So you got to understand. Don't let Ladonna Jempson fool you into feeling sorry for her because she's playing a victim. Okay? She is not a victim. Nobody forced her to go steal a seat from the very people. Here's the scenario. So this appointment is not on the agenda, and meetings have to be open meetings. That's why we have these things, and there's a thing called the Brown Act. You have to put things on the agenda, and you let the people know and let them speak on it, give their opinions and all that. No problem. So after a year of COVID, nobody knows that they're going to be voting on an appointment. There's only 2 council members that showed up, which technically the clerk should have canceled the meeting right off. But, okay, you don't want to cancel the meeting. Maybe you just want to hear people speak or give out awards or whatever you're doing. You could do that. That's no problem. But you can't really do any business, city business, period. Because you don't have a quorum. Quorum meaning more than 2. You got to have a majority, right? So she only has 2, so it should have been canceled. So why would anybody be worried about an appointment, an illegal appointment or anything like that? They can't do it. They don't even have a quorum. So nobody knows this appointment is actually happening, right? It's not even on the agenda. It just so happens, though, Ladonna Jempson and her husband are having date night. Date night. of all places, in the parking lot of City Hall. What a coincidence. What a coincidence. And out of the blue, her name, nobody else's name came up. They didn't open it up for applications. None of that. Nobody else has been considered. Now remember, I told you she contacted these two council members about the position. Wouldn't that be a conspiracy? Wouldn't that be a conspiracy? Indirectly, an indirect conspiracy. So if I called and said, hey, I would have liked that thing too, that would be okay? The city clerk, the city attorney, people in the audience told them, you are creating a Brown Act violation. They told the two council members sitting on the dais and Ladonna Jempson in the audience. Now remember, she's a former council member. She took ethics up in Sacramento. She understands how the dais is supposed to work because they trained her on it. She took the oath anyway. Why is that? But we're haters. We're haters because we want accountability. Now, her friends are going to say it's the same thing that happened to current Mayor Gutierrez. Okay? It's not the same thing. I don't care what they say. Mayor Gutierrez was removed from his illegal appointment, and in my opinion, it was illegal because he didn't live in the district. Ultimately, that's why he was removed. They're going to spin it and tell you, well, you know, it was the same thing as Ladonna, nobody knew. No, it isn't the same. The bottom line is, what did the court's rule removed him from the dais? He didn't live in the district. That's the end all. That's what got him off the seat. But here's the thing, and they're going to try to confuse you. You need a majority. A majority is more than two, correct? So you only have two people up there. That ain't a majority. That's not a quorum. Everybody knows that. Boom, you can't do it. When Mayor Gutierrez, current Mayor Gutierrez, was appointed, they had a quorum. I believe there was 4 council members there that night. I wasn't there that night. There was 4. Was it on the agenda? I don't know. I can't recall that or whatever. But my point is this. The initial process to even have the power to appoint, the council had that. It was an illegal appointment, but they could do it because they had a quorum. That's my issue. That's my issue. Now, if Ladonna and her co-conspirators would have waited another week until Mayor Gutierrez got on the dais, they would have had it 2-1. But remember, when Gutierrez was removed, all these Democratic Party members and people, even myself, we were screaming, this is bullshit, this is bullshit, this is bullshit, this is wrong. So now they're saying it was right? So now, basically, they're saying Gutierrez's appointment was right. Either it's right or it's wrong. And I've been on record to say, 2 wrongs don't make a right, but 2 rights make a left. This is where we're at, people. Do not let Ladonna Jempson fool you. She's running around here telling people, I'm still your council member. She is not a council member. She's not a council member. She will sit there and tell you, and her co-conspirators will sit there and tell you that they are not under investigation. If you Google it and you go into the Press Enterprise, which is the local newspaper here, they will tell you the DA made a statement in the paper saying that we're looking into it. Basic logic. What does looking into something mean? If I'm looking into your finances, what am I doing? If I'm looking into your car for something, what am I doing? I think that would be investigating, trying to find. And that's what the DA of Riverside said they were doing. They are looking into it. So by definition, you're under investigation. And that's not just by the DA. Oh, well, Mr. Donovan, how do you know all this and whatever? I was one of the people that signed a complaint with the DA. Simple as that. My problem with Ladonna Jempson is she tried to steal the seat. Once a thief, always a thief. If you don't want to be a thief, stop stealing. Stop stealing. But they're going to be quick. Her husband is quick to say, ever since this nigga moved in, there ain't no love in the city no more. You know, he got that old cooning nigga voice. Ain't no love in the city no more. Ain't no love. Well, Mr. Christian, is it love to steal? Let's go to your 10 Commandments. What does the 10 Commandments say? Thou shalt not steal. Oh, unless it's your wife. Then it's okay, right? Negro, get your woman in check. Get your woman in check. This woman is dragging your name through the ground, and like the simp you are, you're letting it happen. And you're looking like a damn fool. Get your woman in check, man. But why would somebody do all of this? I just destroyed their whole argument of this. I'm innocent. I don't know what I'm doing. Wait a minute. You keep saying you're the most qualified person. You've been to the training. You were a former council member, but you can't count what a quorum actually is? How stupid do you think we are? What is it, Ladonna? You can't count? You know damn well 2 people is not a quorum. And then the next week, this shows you how stupid these people are. She gets her ass up off the dais at the advice of the city attorney. I want you guys to ask yourself this. If what the city attorney had to say was irrelevant the week before, why would it be relevant the next week? Because you guys are on the dais and you know more than the attorney. So why would you listen to him the very next week? If I had done what they had conspired to do, I would have stayed my ass on that dais and said, I don't care what you have to say. Because at least I would be consistent in my stance. So now you're listening to the lawyer, but wait a minute, you just said that the lawyer doesn't know what he's talking about, and you have the authority as 2 council members to proceed to an appointment that nobody knew about. But now, because everybody's bringing the big guns on your asses, you're going to listen to the attorney and the city clerk? Y'all some haters. Y'all some haters. That's what this is. Y'all haters. Ain't no love ever since this one little nigga came and moved in. I've been a resident of this city longer than that jackass who keeps defending his criminal wife. I've been a resident here before the city even was a city. At my age, there are very few people that have been here as long as I have. I've been here so long. I remember Roy Bleckard's dad placing 3rd in a race at Riverside Raceway. I remember that, and I remember it distinctly because he reminded me of Evel Knievel, who was a big hero of mine back in those days. For those of you who don't know who Evel Knievel is. Big daredevil, the guy was super cool and stuff like that, and Roy's dad, that's what he reminded me of. And as a military person, we would go to the raceway and watch the races. And where I live in Edgemont, I literally can hear and see part of the track when they would race on Saturdays and Sundays. One of the biggest, stupidest mistakes we ever made in this city was to get rid of that racetrack. So, that's how far I go back. So he doesn't know what he's talking about. We're all haters. If I had that kind of influence within a district, wouldn't you think I would be a council member? No. I'm not interested. I don't think I'm that popular. Victoria Baca's followers and supporters would never let me sit on that dais. Never let me sit on that dais. But I can say this, that if it was a choice between me, myself, and Ladonna, they would let me sit on that dais if I was interested. That was the only choices they had. Because Ladonna, during the recall, her and Dave Marquez were going around saying things that were not true about Victoria Baca. And they were proven not true. We got to do better, people. We got to do better. We need an educated voting base. And even after all of this, and people have told her to get her ass up off of that thing so we don't have to be in litigation, she refuses. Why? Is Ladonna Jempson in some kind of financial distress? Why must they have this seat at all costs? Why? Is she there possibly to do the bidding of a developer and get a payday? Because you do know, just by sitting on the dais and having the influence to change zoning things and stuff like that, you kind of get special donations and stuff like that. You guys do realize that incumbency is 96% guaranteed in any re-election if you're the incumbent. So she probably thought, I'll sit on this thing for a year until the election, and then I'll run and win the seat because people are not paying attention. And hopefully Donovan and MV Gordy and Highland Fairview and the Bacas and people like that won't be paying attention. Rafael Bergueras, they won't be paying attention. And I want to thank members of Highland Fairview. Rafael Bergueras, who's on the Planning Commission, isn't even in the district. That came out and spoke in support of residents of District 1. Thank you guys for speaking up with us. Thank you. Yes, we've had our differences. Yeah, and we're going to continue to have differences. We're going to continue. But when we are standing together for what's right, that's what's up. That's what's up. There is hope. There is hope. We just have different visions on which way the city should go. And I'm going to end you guys with this. And I keep telling these guys, if you don't want me in politics, stop stealing the money. Stop stealing. I am not going to sit here, and it's bad enough I live in Edgemont and we are lacking resources. We have a park that doesn't even have a bathroom, and it's a heavily used park. I got to bitch and moan just to get benches replaced and all of these other stuff. I know it takes time. One of the last things Victoria Baca did, and the mayor and the city engineer and the park and rec person did, was started to replace and put in the benches that had rusted out and stuff. And I've been saying that for 3 or 4 years. That's one of the last things Victoria Baca did in my communication with her. Am I a friend of Victoria Baca? No, I'm not. But I live in an area that is heavily, heavily Victoria Baca supporters. So me bitching doesn't just benefit me. It benefits the supporters that put her into office. God rest her soul. She did a lot of things for this city. I hate to have to tell you that, but it's the truth. If you like it or not, it's the truth. Can't take that away from her. So anyway, you guys, please tune in to my Facebook page, the IE Informer. And there you're going to see me give you little tidbits about this and that and what's going on. Thank you guys for tuning in to the podcast. With the podcast, I also want to tell you guys that, I put these out every now and then. And I appreciate you guys doing that. Please like, share, and subscribe to it. It's a nice way to get out there and get information out. So if you're a commuter and you don't have time to make any meetings and stuff, this is a great way to sit in your car and find out what kind of shenanigans are going on in the city of Moreno Valley. I'm also on YouTube. Just look for me, Donovan Saadiq, the recovering Democrat. That is what I'm known as, and you can see me there. But I am also the IE Informer. No problem finding me there. Woo! Here we go, guys. It's going to be a drag-out Gypsy King, Tyson Fury type fighting. But again, I think they're going to lose this one because it is a blatant disregard for the rule of law. And that's exactly what happened. All right, you guys be safe out there. Halloween is over, but Thanksgiving's coming up. COVID is still out there. Wash your hands, wash your ass. Make the right decision for your family. If you're going to take the jab, go ahead and do that. If you're not, go ahead and do that also. But I think at the end of the day, we all want what's best for the city of Moreno Valley. I'm Donovan Saadiq. You've just been informed. Buckle up. Brace for impact.